welcome to Chisme del Cielo, where we talk about the only gossipers sharing the good news. I'm your host, Yahaira Valenzuela, and you guys, I'm gonna be so 100 with y'all. I'm exhausted. I sat down to record this episode on Thursday, and I literally couldn't. My mind was blanking. I tried to keep going anyway, but then I was listening back and I was like, this cannot go online. This is not it. So I kind of just was like, I'm gonna go to sleep, I'm gonna rest, I'll try again tomorrow. Um, so then I come back Friday and I sat down and I once again tried to record, and the words were just not wording. When I tell you guys, I feel so physically and mentally exhausted. So I was just like, I am not in any like state of mind right now to be talking to anybody about anything. So I just kind of was like, okay, I'll try again tomorrow. I went to sleep. I actually went to sleep pretty early Friday night. And then Saturday came and it was just a really busy day. So I'm finally sitting down. So I do apologize that this episode is so late, I guess. But again, I think it's just really important that I'm not forcing anything. And I know for sure that an episode was not gonna be the move on Thursday or Friday. So I'm back today. And as I was, like I said, kind of just trying to think of what I wanted to talk about on today's episode, I think my mind kept coming back to this one thing. And it's really interesting because it was actually a really a key theme of our young adult ministries Bible and brunch, so our Bible study today. And I was just like, see, I knew this was heavy on my mind for a reason. And so I'm going to kind of, I guess in a way, talk about finding joy in our suffering, but not necessarily that's the focus of this episode, because I think I've talked about that before. But just kind of how I've been finding joy in my suffering as of lately. I feel like I have just been going through it the past couple of weeks. I feel like like I said, no, it's not even necessarily that I'm suffering, nothing insane is happening per se. But I have just been really exhausted. And so I'm going to kind of talk about how I've been navigating certain feelings that I've been feeling lately as a Christian, from the POV of a Catholic girly, and just how I'm trying to still stay consistent with my faith and how I'm responding, I guess, to the suffering in my life. Which again, there isn't necessarily anything insane happening. When I say suffering, I don't literally mean I'm going through anything crazy. So I don't want to be insensitive to anybody who is. But I definitely think that suffering can look a lot of ways, as Christians, we hear a lot of talk about carrying our cross. And I think that can look very differently for every individual at any given time, right? So just kind of how I'm I guess responding in Christian ways to the more mundane things, to the more ordinary daily feelings and things that we have. So I'm going to talk about that. And again, it is kind of from my perspective as a woman, as a female. So I know that probably 90% of my listeners are females, so that's good. You should stick around and keep listening because you might find something you can relate to. But if you do happen to be a man listening to this episode right now, you can either skip this week or you can listen in anyway, because I do think that it is important to be, I guess, empathetic and to understand how our counterparts might be responding and thinking, right? So like I said, this is basically going to feel like a brain dump for me. And so if you are interested in kind of getting a glimpse at maybe what a woman is thinking or how they think, how our brains and our minds work on certain things, then you should stick around and listen too. If not, tune in next week and hopefully we'll be back with something that applies to you. But I did just want to give that disclaimer. So yes, let's get into it. Okay, so to start off, I think I do want to emphasize this whole like idea of finding joy in our suffering. I just made a TikTok about this, but I was literally saying like having like a life with God does not mean a life without suffering, right? Like just because we are close to God or because we're practicing our faith or because we are praying every day and we've built that relationship with God, that does not mean that we're not going to suffer, right? And actually, in this Sunday's readings for the second Sunday of Easter, the second reading, which, because I mentioned this came up in our Bible study today, the second reading is from 1 Peter something, I'm not sure, look it up. But it does talk about this same idea of like you're going to go through trials, you're going to go through tests, right? To test your like the genuineness of your faith and your trust in God. And that's something that's been like heavily on my mind lately because I have, like I said, felt just so exhausted. I feel like I've been so stressed out the past couple of weeks. And yes, I have reasons to feel this way. But one of the, like, I guess, graces that I've received during these times is that I've been able to still find like all of the little good things. Because yeah, like a life with God does not equal a life without suffering. If anything, we're going to suffer more because he's just making sure that we are actually faithful, that we are actually trusting and not just saying that we trust because we know it's the right thing to do. And funny enough, that's actually something that when I first started my discernment of my vocation, I was struggling with this a lot because every time I would like sit down to like journal and adoration or like I'd be talking to God, I would run into this like the same issue that I would start off and I'd be like, do I trust God? Yes. And the next thing I know, I'm like 20 pages in talking about, but do I like, I wouldn't still be writing if I was sure, like I would not be this like confused. I would not be questioning it if I was sure. And then one day my spiritual director was literally like, dude, just stop. Like she was like, just be quiet. Like say yes and move on. Like, why are you still trying to elaborate on this when like if your initial thought was to say, yes, you trust God, then you trust God. Right. And so I think like back then, had you asked like Yahida of 2 years ago, I would have like any minor inconvenience, I would have flipped out. I would have freaked out. But I think it's such a beautiful thing and just such a good reassurance of the relationship that I've built with God and the trust that I've grown to have towards him. It's so amazing to see that even now when I am having all of these like minor and major inconveniences, I can still fall back and say, but this is happening for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I trust God. I trust his plan for me. And so I'm going to be okay. And it is so much like easier said than done, but that is the importance of building that relationship with him and that trust in him in the first place. I remember a couple of years ago, 2 years, yes, whenever the guy that I was dating at the time, we broke up. Oh my gosh, sorry, I don't know why that was like so awkward for me to say, but we did break up. And I remember that my mom was like, oh, well, you must not have loved him because you're not even crying. And I was like, girl, what? Like, since when are like tears or like depression or anything like that? Like, since when is that an indicator of how much you love someone, right? And this, at that time, I was like falling back in love with the Catholic Church, with the faith. I was like starting to kind of pursue knowledge and understanding about the faith, right? Like I was starting to look into it again, and I wanted to just come back, and I wanted to grow in my faith and grow in my relationship with God and all the things, right? All the things that one does when they come back. And I remember I literally told her, I said, no, mom, like, no, it was never a matter of like, oh, I didn't love him. I mean, we were together for like 2 years, right? I think. And so I was like, no. I love this man. That was not the problem. The thing is just that I was growing to trust God. And because of that, when this obviously huge inconvenience happened, because I felt kind of blindsided. I didn't even know it was going to happen, right? Like I was just like, but you know what? It happened for a reason, and I may not understand it right now, but like it happened for a reason. And so It's not that I'm magically okay with the breakup or that I'm magically over it or anything like that, but it was genuinely just, I trust God so much that if we're meant to be, we'll get back together one day. Like, we'll find our way back to each other. And if we're not, then we're not, and it happened, and goodbye, right? And that sounds so, like, I guess to my mom, it was just, she was just like, I mean, good for you. Like, you have God. Like, I'm glad. But I do know that at the same time, because she has seen me cry, right? She has seen me cry over like other relationships and things like that. So I feel like it was a little scary. It was a little like out of character for me, but so in character with the way that we should be reacting to things as a Christian, as Christians, right? And so I think that was kind of the start of me realizing, like, oh, maybe like this is a real thing. Maybe you can trust God to the extent of like, I mean, if it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not, then it's not, about anything. And it was so incredible to me because I guess I didn't realize that that's why I was so okay until my mom had brought it up and I was actually like saying it out loud and vocalizing these feelings. And I was just, I mean, I was in awe with myself, you know, like I was like, yeah, you're right. Like I am very like calm about this. And obviously it still hurt. It still pained me. I still did cry, but I think it just wasn't as dramatic as maybe it had been in the past. And it wasn't, again, it wasn't that I wasn't feeling these things. It's not that I wasn't sad about it. It's not that I wasn't like angry about it even, but it was literally just that at the end of the day, I knew that it had happened because it needed to happen at that time. And that's kind of what everything comes back to. If you really think about it, right? Like if you really believe that God has a plan for you and that it's a good plan and it's a perfect plan, especially made for you, then you're kind of like untouchable. Like you're not, because we're human and we have these human emotions and these human feelings and these human reactions that we naturally want to have to everything, right? We want to cry, we want to be angry, we want to probably curse people out sometimes. Like we want to react in these big ways. But like if you take a step back, you're just like, I'm going to let God do the reacting and I'm going to let God handle that because it's God's plan, right? And I think for a while I struggled because again, this is so much easier said than done. I think for a while I struggled with like maintaining this boundary in my life of like being careless, I guess, and trusting God, right? Like it started to get to the point where it wasn't even I don't even think it was so much like, oh, I trust God, so I'm gonna let him handle it. But I think it was literally just like I started to get a little bit careless about things because I was like, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. If it's not, it's not. And so I just kind of stopped putting in the work. And I think that that's another like super important aspect of our lives as Christians and of finding this joy in our suffering, right? Because we can't just stop caring. And I think that it is a very fine line between I'm going to let God handle it, but I'm still going to care about it. And then like, I'm going to let God handle it and I'm going to just, whatever, it's not my problem because it is your problem. Right. So one of the other things that I guess like I was kind of talking about in my TikTok is, you know, um, we do have these emotions, we do have these feelings, and they're completely valid because we are human and it's in our nature to react in those ways. But it's really about what you do with those feelings, what you do with these reactions and emotions and with that human nature, um, what you do with it and how you like move forward from it, right? And what I mean is like, okay, I do get sad. I actually get sad a lot. I am about to be 25 years old. I am not married. If that's, I don't even know if that's what God wants for me. And if it is, I'm not dating anyone. There are zero prospects. I am seeing all of these people that I went to high school with or people that I'm meeting now, people that I work with that are married and already having kids and like doing all of these things. I mean, I'm a teacher, so it's not like I'm making all the money in the world And I'm not like, yes, I travel when I can, but at the same time, like, I'm paying off student loans, so my money is still mainly going there. Like, there are so many things in my life that sometimes I do get sad about. And maybe they're dumb things to be sad about, but again, it's our human nature, right, to be sad about them. And there have been so many times where I'm like doom scrolling on TikTok at night before I go to bed, and I'm seeing all of these wedding TikToks, or I'm seeing like babies. And you guys, I get sad. Like, I wouldn't even say that I get sad, but like, I do get emotional. I get emotional because I'm like, when will it be my turn, right? And so again, it's that fine line of like, is this envy, or is this just like, low-key, I'm yearning for my future family and I hope that's me, but like, I'm so happy for you. I'm not envious, I'm just happy for you, right? And the reason I bring all of this up is because I'm like, it it's what you do with those feelings, right? I can sit here and doom scroll and see these videos, and I can start crying about it, and I can feed into these emotions, and I can tell myself, oh, look at you, you're so alone. Oh, look at you, nobody loves you. Oh, look at you, like, that's never going to be you because you can't even keep a man for longer than however long, right? Like, X amount of time. Like, I could feed into these like negative illusions, like delusions, whatever, but like, I don't, because I trust God. And again, it's so much easier said than done, but truly, you guys, truly, it's being able to remind yourself in those moments that God has a plan perfectly curated for you. And I'm going to keep saying that because I know that that's such a hard thing to believe, because it's not necessarily like tangible. Is that the word? Like, it's not something that you can see like firsthand. Like, God is not saying, here's the map for your life, here's the plan for you, here's an essay detailing exactly what's going to happen to you and exactly when. We don't know. And that is the most difficult thing. It is so frustrating because we're human and we want to control everything, but that's just not how God works. And the second that you become okay with that and you just accept it for what it is the second that you can actually start building that relationship of trust with God. Because that's when you can actually start to say, okay, God, you're right. I don't have to know, and I accept that. And I don't have to understand what's happening, and I accept that. And I'm going to trust you. So help me to trust you. And I will say, like, just a quick side note, it is completely valid to, in your prayers, to ask God to help you trust him, right? Like, that's what you should be doing. You should, in your prayers, say, like, Lord, teach me to trust you, right? Because how else are you gonna get that, right? Like, if he doesn't know what he doesn't know. I mean, he does, because he's God and he sees everything and he knows everything and he knows your heart and your intentions. But like, you have to vocalize it, right? Because he's not gonna force you into a relationship with him. He's not gonna force you into trusting him. So you have to tell him, like, I want to trust you. I want to, more than anything, trust in your plan, and he's got you. He's got you. He'll figure it out with you. But I think that when that became my prayer, when I started to say, like, I really truly just want to trust you. I really truly genuinely do not care to understand anything. I just want to be able to accept and understand that you have a plan for me, and that it's going to be exactly what I deserve, and it's going to fulfill me because it's coming from you. That's when, like, everything was just a million times better. And like, you don't even really notice it until you're in a moment to notice it. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's like, I thought, because for the past 2 years, I have been struggling with, like, I guess, really believing, I guess, if that's even the way to say it, really believing that I do trust him. I was really struggling with that. It has been my prayer for the past like year and a half. And it wasn't until right now, like these past couple of weeks in the season of life that I'm in right now, that I realized that, like, actually I do trust him, or else my like suffering would not be this joyful, if that makes sense. Um and I guess, like, I kind of need to get into that now so that you can understand where I'm coming from with this little rant, because at this point I've sidetracked like 3 times. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you do, and hopefully you're keeping up, and if you're not, I'm so sorry. Like I said, it's just kind of a brain dump because I have been It's everywhere, and I'm exhausted, and I didn't want to not release an episode, so I'm doing it now. But just bear with me on this rant, you guys. Bear with me. But for those of you who don't know, I am a high school teacher, high school biology teacher here in the state of Texas, which means that I do teach a state tested subject because biology is state tested here. And so basically, I spend my entire school year preparing my students for this one big test, and it's actually coming up this Tuesday. So if you're hearing this before Tuesday, please pray for my students. Not even necessarily that they'll pass, but just that they are able to rid themselves of the nerves and honestly just not be be at peace when they're taking this test, because I was telling them, at this point, it is what it is. If you didn't learn it, you're not learning it now. It is what it is. So just do your best type of thing. So please pray for my students. But it's coming up this Tuesday, which means that for the past 3 weeks, we've been heavily preparing for their reviews every day. And obviously we need their reviews to be interactive. So it's extra cutting, extra printing, longer hours of staying after school. And then we've had tutorials before and after school every single day. So it has been a lot. And cherry on top, Holy Week just passed. And if you are someone who truly just participates in everything in the Holy Triduum and everything, then you know that Holy Week is exhausting. It is very emotionally draining as well because you are reliving the passion, right? You are reliving what Jesus Christ went through for you. Guys, don't talk to me on Good Friday because I cry the entire day. But that's a topic for another day. But truly, I have been everywhere and nowhere all at once because I feel like I'm so tired that I can't even be truly present. But all this to say that even with all of this, me feeling like I'm not there and then feeling bad because I'm not there and then feeling just bad about overthinking what other people are thinking about me because I'm oh, they totally can tell that I'm not present. This is so rude. This is so disrespectful of me. They totally know that I'm not on my A game. It has been crazy, you guys. But even amidst all of that, I have still received so many little graces and just little signs from God that I am exactly where I need to be and that I'm gonna be okay. And again, 2 years ago, I would not have been thinking about this at all. If I was this stressed or if I was this tired, I would have probably just canceled on everybody, stopped showing up to things until I was back okay. I would have probably just been crying myself to sleep every day. I would have woken up crying. It would have been bad. I would have been a whole different person. And when people tell you God gives you strength, I kid you not, that is so real. If you allow him to be there with you in your suffering, if you allow him to carry your cross, help you carry your cross, guys, he really does bring you joy. He really does give you strength. And the beautiful thing is that during this time, I was still receiving the sacraments. I went to, I had this really big issue in my life and I took myself to confession because I was no, I have to, this is making me a bad person. And so I went to confession and I immediately just felt so much better. I've been receiving the Eucharist, and all of this has legitimately been giving me the energy to keep on going. Because you look at me and I do look exhausted, but I don't even think that I'm acting exhausted because of how much energy I'm receiving from the Lord alone. And again, it's just been so incredible. I think it's weird because I'm saying it about myself, but it has been so incredible to see that I'm still able to find the good and that I'm still able to keep going and that I'm still able to just feel good amidst all of these things that 2 years ago I would have been a scary person, you guys. I would have been a very scary person. So I've got the state testing. I've got, Holy Week. I've got all of these things going on at church that I have to be at. I've got all of these things going on at school that I have to worry about, all of these things that I have to plan for, all these things that I have to prep for. I've got like a million commitments, and I open my planner and I'm just scared and I want to cry because I'm legitimately overstimulated, and I'm still seeing the good. And at this point, like, this isn't even, I'm telling you, this is just me talking about my life, because I think it's so important for you guys to understand that it is possible to find joy in your suffering. Because I like, and just to give you an example, I was talking about this earlier, but I thought it was the most beautiful thing. So I went to not my home parish, I went to a different parish for the Easter Vigil on Saturday night, because my friend was receiving her sacrament, so I wanted to go. And I went and I was just like, oh, I really want to see the altar, because I feel like altars really speak to me, So I love to see the different altars at the different parishes. And so I went, as I was going out to receive communion, I was so bummed out because, like, I know this is such a bad thing to be bummed out about, but I was so bummed out because I was going to receive like way on the like far right side of the altar. So I wasn't even in front of it. And I was really bummed because I really wanted to look at it. And so I received, and I look up and I see Saint Joseph. Like, it was a Saint Joseph statue, and it was so beautiful. And I literally, like, just my whole like walk back and then my little like prayer after, I was just like, Lord, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like, you and Saint Joseph, because I was, like I said, going through it. It was Holy Week, and I got my little like wink from God, like I got to see Saint Joseph, and it was such a beautiful statue that I wouldn't have seen. And I even was like, I'm so sorry that I was even bummed out about this in the first place, because like, thank you, and I think it's like little things like that that have happened throughout the past couple of weeks. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're little winks from God. Like, he is such a girl dad. He is truly looking out for me. And like, I don't even care. I don't even care about any of the other things, because God is watching me. And even when I feel a little bit like abandoned, I guess, or maybe just a little like separated, I'm like, he's watching, and he wanted me to know that he's watching. Like, he wanted me to know that he's still here and he's still looking out for me, and it's all part of his plan. So like, it's okay. It's okay. And the fact that I was even able to see that and realize that that's what that was, it was literally only because I am so open to the idea of finding joy in my suffering, you know? Like, because I'm so aware that that's what I should be doing, that it's happening for me. And I think if you are living in this like closed heart, closed mind world where you're just like, it can only be what's happening in front of me, then yeah, you're not going to find joy. Like, sorry to break it to you, buddy, but if you don't let God be a part of it, a part of your suffering, then yeah, you're not going to see God anywhere. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's not going to force you into anything. So if you want these results, then you better be open to these results. You better give him the opportunity to show you that he's there and that he's with you, right? Because in our suffering, God is still there if you allow him to be there. But he's not going to force anything. You have free will. He's not going to force anything. He's not going to force you to love him. He's not going to force you to invite him into your life. So you have to do that. You have to take that first step. And this all goes back to what I was saying with like that line of like carelessness. Because sure, I could also just be like, it is what it is. I don't care. I'm going to just go through life and like trust, in quotations, trust that God's going to take care of it. But like, I also need to do my part, right? I also have to make sure I'm not putting myself in dangerous situations, or that I'm not putting myself in like sinful situations, like places where I'm not actually looking out for myself, like, just because I trust God, again in quotations, doesn't mean that I get to just give up on life. And all of our suffering, they're trials, they are, that's what they are in the grand scheme of things, tests of your faith. And so like, what are you going to do with them? Am I just going to be like, oh, it's part of God's plan, so I'm going to just keep crying my way through it? No, like, what are you going to do with it? Because it's always an opportunity to run back to the Lord. It's an opportunity to just pray, to keep building that relationship. It's an opportunity to run to him, but it's also an opportunity for you to choose to run the other way. It's an opportunity for you to say, well, God abandoned me, so now I don't like him. Or God abandoned me, so he must not love me, so I'm just going to go cry about it, go whatever, choose a life of sin, right? It is, because that's what it is. That's the whole point. You get to choose. You have free will to choose what you're going to do, how you're going to handle it, how you're going to respond. So you can't be careless. You just can't. Being a girl, like a Catholic girly, is so hard. Like, actually. Because I feel like we have all of these expectations, as women, we're either called to religious life or religious single, right? Or we're called to marriage and having children. And in today's day and age, people are getting married older, or they're not getting married at all, which is, again, a topic for another day. But, like, as a Catholic, as someone who knows that if this is the life that God's calling me to, then I better get going. It is so hard. It's hard. It's hard. Because I am way older than my parents were when they got married. I say way older and I'm only 24, but they used to get married young. I am way older than my grandparents were when they got married. And again, like, I'm seeing all of these people that I went to school with or that I knew before, that I know now, people that are younger than me, getting married, having kids, and I yearn for that life. And it's funny because even a couple of weeks ago, I would not have said that because I was like well, I'm still discerning. We're always discerning. But like, I was so set on like, I want religious life. That's what God's calling me to. I can feel it in my bones. And then turns out I couldn't feel it in my bones. And I was actually more confused than I thought I was. But as more time has passed and I've prayed more, I've started to see that I'm actually, I think, being called to like motherhood and marriage. And the really, really super unfortunate thing about it is that, guess what? No one wants me. Yeah. Yeah. It's tragic. But it's actually also not, because in my season of singleness, I feel like I'm doing so much like growth, spiritual growth, and just like so much for God that I'm like, I really can't be mad. He's definitely like being intentional about it. I'm like, he's giving me time to grow and to just take care of like myself first, but at the same time, it gets to that point where because I'm seeing it everywhere, it's really hard to like trust, And I think that I almost fell into this like lie of like, oh, it's never going to happen. There's no one out there for me. And it's super interesting too, because I think, I kept telling myself, like I'm at all these church things. I'm at all these church events, like not even just my church, but like all around Houston and all around the flipping country. And I have yet to find a good, truly devout Catholic man. So like, what is the issue? Right? But again, it all goes back to trust. Because I think a year ago I was a little freaking out about it. Like I was stressed about it. But now I'm just like, no, because God is so intentional and he's being so intentional with these signs. And when I tell you like singleness, it's I was about to say this is suffering. It's not suffering, you guys. But like it is something that has been causing some suffering, like to some extent in my life. But then I've also had all of these, like, again, little winks from God where I'm just like, oh, but he's looking out for me. Like, I can't even be mad because he has made sure that I have accomplished, like, every goal that I've had, like, in the past couple of years. He's made sure to, give me the strength in my career when I need it to keep going, to give me the strength in just life in general, right? And I'm like, no, like, he's being so intentional with me and I can't be mad. Same thing with like my stress. Like he's being so intentional with me, and he's giving me everything that I've wanted and asked for. So I can't even be mad. I had seen on TikTok one time. Well, then I saw it a lot, so it must have been like a little trend or something. But people saying like, you can't be like upset about the things that you prayed for, or like, you're being stressed about the things that you prayed for. Sorry, I like worded that wrong. Being stressed over the things that you prayed for is a blessing, and it is. It is, and you don't see it that way unless and until you fully start to trust that God is being intentional with you, that He's being intentional with your life. And that has been the most beautiful thing, the biggest blessing in my life was being able to realize that He is being intentional, that He's doing everything for a reason, and that it's gonna be so good for me one day. And I'm just like, like if He is calling me to marriage, it's about to be, I know it. I know my future husband is about to be the best husband ever. Like, and maybe that's a little what's the word, like ambitious, but like God would not make me wait this long for a bum. Sorry, that's just the truth. It's just the truth. Like, and sometimes I do get like, I'm just like, oh, maybe like my standards are just so high, like maybe, but I'm like, that's human nature to like doubt, but I'm also not going to go settle, like I have standards for a reason. I have standards for a reason. God gave me those. He gave me that mindset. He gave me that desire, right? So I'm like, I can't, I'm just going to trust. And if I have to be single for 20 million more years, hopefully not. Lord, if you're hearing this, like hopefully not. But I'm like, but at the same time, I do trust that it is for a reason. I do trust that the right man will come, the perfect man. Well, not perfect because we can't be perfect, but the right man perfectly made for me will come. And I really do trust that. Which is funny because I would not have been saying that even a couple of months ago. But I really do trust that now. Because again, I've been receiving all of these little winks, and I'm just like, oh, like he's listening, he's looking out. Like I know He's got me because He's been so intentional with every other little wink and with every other little detail. Like why wouldn't He be also just preparing me and preparing my future husband for us to like be with each other, right? And so yeah, that was just a lot, but I don't even know I don't even know, guys. I don't even know. I feel like I just talked about a lot of things. Like I said, it kind of just needed to be a brain dump because I didn't know what to talk about. And then I was like, well, I actually have a lot of things I could talk about. And then I was like, I don't even know if they actually fit in together. But this episode is what it is. I'm going to release it because another thing that has been just heavy on my mind is like, I get disappointed when I don't post because even though I probably only have like 5 consistent listeners, I'm like, I am disappointed in myself because I committed to this podcast. And then when when I'm not consistent, I'm like, this is embarrassing. Like, not even embarrassing because like, we got to be humble, but I'm just like, I made this commitment and I shouldn't have done it if I couldn't do it, if I couldn't handle it. Right. So I was like, at this point, I just need to get an episode out because I didn't drop one for Holy Week for obvious reasons for the reverence. But like, I was like, I just need to get an episode out and I'm going to lock in after the state test, you guys, because truly it is so draining. But I'm going to be better. Hopefully, please pray for me because you guys, like I'm fighting joy, but that doesn't mean that I'm not feeling things, right? So please pray for me. I am praying for you guys. Pray for my students as well. But yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's continue to learn together. Let's grow together. And of course, let's be saints together. God bless.
If you're as excited for this podcast as I am, make sure you follow on whatever you're streaming it on right now. Also, subscribe on YouTube and follow on Instagram at Chisme del Cielo for any announcements and so that you can DM me questions you might have so I can research it and get it on the pod. If you're feeling crazy, drop a review or a rating for the podcast and please keep praying for me. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.